Almost a year to the day after wildfires broke out here in central Texas, Tropical Storm Isaac poses a similar threat.
Last year, Tropical Storm Lee hit the Louisiana coast, causing high winds to whip across Texas and fires to spread quickly across the dry ground. New at 5, emergency response teams are on alert once again. Our Brian Sanders found one organization in Austin watching closely.
I'm sitting in an ERV, or Emergency Response Vehicle. The American Red Cross of Central Texas has already mobilized ahead of Isaac, and a two-person team will take this truck to the Gulf Coast or to North Texas or wherever they need it to deliver aid and food supplies to the storm victims. The latest weather models have Isaac making landfall near New Orleans on the 7th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Isaac could track into Texas after that, putting Austin on the outskirts of its gigantic wind field.
This wind field compares to what we saw with Katrina, and Katrina was already not only a hurricane, a major hurricane as it moved through the middle of the Gulf.
But this year is much different from last year's Tropical Storm Lee, which combined with a cold front to create 40-mile-an-hour winds in central Texas, turning sparks into wildfires.
What we will see is a northerly wind on the west side of the storm, but not anything like the winds on the dirty side of the storm. The north wind we see on the back side of the system are only going to be 15 to 20 miles per hour, maybe with some stronger gusts.
The American Red Cross is preparing to help victims that may leave Louisiana for Texas or hunker down where the storm hits. They've sent 3 workers to coordinate efforts in Washington, D.C.
Ahead of Isaac, we've been moving people, supplies, technology to be where they're going to be needed most for this storm.
But last year taught them a lesson. They're not ruling out the possibility of wildfire risk or severe weather damage closer to home.
It definitely is difficult with tropical storms like Isaac because they can change where they're going.
This particular truck happened to be in New York last year when the Bastrop wildfires broke out, so the Red Cross has to be very careful about where they deploy their resources, because when a storm hits one area, it could very easily affect another, much like Central Texas. In East Austin, Brian Sanders, KXAN News.
You can find much more information about the history of the fires online right now at KXAN.com. We have a collection of stories about those fires and the ongoing recovery efforts as we approach the 1-year anniversary. We also have links to stories about ways to protect your home amid the dry and dangerous conditions. Now, there's a link to those stories on our front page. Just click on the Wildfire Anniversary tab on KXAN.com.